Hi everyone, welcome back to Stay Positive. Very excited to be back. We have a very fun episode for you guys today. I have a cool guest on who you may know her from her being my cousin. You know, we're related. So actually, she did get a shout out in the episode that I had with, where I interviewed my sister, because she was the cousin who was doing, I don't know if we mentioned, she does backflips. I don't know if we talked about that. She does backflips. And when we were all going out for my sister's bachelorette party, she was the mastermind behind handing back her ID because I was not 21 yet. So she was able to show her ID to the nice man who then she handed it back a couple people to me, little underage Sierra, who then showed it. And then we all got in. We had a great time. So that's her. And on top of that, she's a really awesome, hilarious person. Obviously we grew up together. And the fun part though, too, is she's a podcaster herself. She has this really awesome podcast called Shade and Fog that you have to check out because it's hilarious. Specifically, she talks about dating, and it's her and a co-host, and they just go on about dating and like specifically dating in San Francisco, which is where they live. And it like blew up in San Francisco because it was so relatable, I think, to a lot of people who are dating there. And a lot of dating podcasts are maybe a little bit specific to the city that they're based in. So there's a lot of New York, there's a lot of LA, but San Francisco hasn't really been covered. So, you know, no matter if you live there or not, it's just kind of fascinating to learn about, you know, how dating life is there. What are the singles doing these days? That's what I always ask. So yeah, definitely check that out. And we talk a lot about how her podcasting experience was in this interview. I just am very excited to present this interview with my cousin, Christy Leung. So before we get into this interview, I just want to shout out the sponsor of today's episode, which is SaveTheChildren.org. So Save the Children believes every child deserves a future. In the United States and around the world, we work every day to give children a healthy start in life, the opportunity to learn, and protection from harm. We deliver lasting results for millions of children, including those hardest to reach. We do whatever it takes for children, every day and in times of crisis, transforming their lives in the future we all share. Right now, the coronavirus is the biggest global health crisis of our lifetime, and it threatens children in every way. COVID-19 has already left many children without caregivers, out of school, and exposed to violence and exploitation. Child poverty is rising. So with your support, though, we can help children in unsafe households and help support distance learning in the face of school closures. Here are some ways your support can make a difference. For a donation as little as $5, you can provide a nutritious breakfast and lunch for a child who usually relies on school for food. Or for a more generous donation of $50, you can deliver essentials that keep kids learning while out of school, like books, activities, or school supplies. So to find out more and donate, please visit SaveTheChildren.org/savekids. Hi, Christy. Thanks for calling in,
Hey, Sierra. How's it going?
Good. I'm excited to be interviewing you, my older cousin. You did get a shout out in Melissa's episode as the one who smuggled me into her bachelor party bar. So
yep, she used my ID. You were like probably 19 or 20.
Yeah. We did a pass back, which I'd never really experienced before. I thought they would know, like seeing the same ID twice, but I guess they weren't paying that close of attention.
I think there was someone between. It was like me that went first, and then like Melissa's friends in between us. And we're like, we have to methodically think about this. Mm-hmm. So there's got to be like two people in between you and I, so they won't know.
Right.
But you can't be last in line because then people are gonna know.
Oh, I see. So then they're like, okay, keep it moving. Like, here, let's let this person through. Just like not give in to the pressure. Like, well, I know you're at your mom's house in California, Southern California, instead of San Francisco, which is your normal home. Like, what was your decision to go home, I guess? When did you leave San Francisco?
Yeah, I was in SF for like maybe a couple weeks, like 2 weeks, mm-hmm. In the shelter in place. And like me and my roommates made it fun. Like I got into TikTok, which by the way,
let's talk about it. Uh-huh. Yeah, I'm all into it.
Okay, so I need to start following you because
I don't know. It's rough.
Okay. It's hard. Like, okay, I am like not a youthful spirit anymore. I am 29 years old. I turned 29 this month. So it's like, I'm 29 thinking I'm freaking 17 years old.
That's good. It's the only way to live.
I've aged out of TikTok, but I tried to make the use of the first weeks of quarantine, and I'm like, I'm going to get on TikTok. I'm going to like, not only is it freaking fun, But it's also like it's just like it's a good workout. Like you're
Yeah,
like moving your body.
dances, active.
It's just so much fun.
Yeah,
like
it's hard.
yeah,
And
it's
you're a
very
choreo,
active.
like you're a dancer. I feel, you know, you did cheerleading and
Yeah.
stuff, so you can follow. I mean, that's hard for me. I don't really even try to do the dances.
They're tough. I mean, even when I was like a cheerleader, I was always grouped into like the back, like you be in the back.
No.
Like I was never like a good dancer with like choreography.
Got it.
So me and my roommates, like we're kind of just like messing around in our living room, and like mind you, my place in San Francisco was very very small. Like our living room was converted into a bedroom, so like
Oh wow,
our space of like our common area is probably it's tiny. You could barely even fit 4 people inside. So we moved all of our furniture and we were learning the dances and connecting, our phones to the computer.
Yeah.
So it was like a full production.
Right.
But at that point I was like, okay, well, my mom, like my parents are divorced. My mom lives in Orange County by herself. So does my dad. They live in the same city. So I was like, okay, they're kind of lonely and they're already empty nesters. Like this is a good time for me to kind of just stay at home with my parents. So that's been, I think it was just primarily like wanting to just stay home with my mom because she's lonely.
Cool.
And I'm kind of itching to get back to the city, just in the sense of like, I think they're incrementally going to start opening things up, but I guess that's going to be the last wing, like the last wave of all that.
Yeah, because there's a lot of, I guess, like, since you're still working from home, like it's a lot of possibility to do that in tech spaces, and that's a big part of SF, I'm assuming. So
yeah, no, exactly.
Right.
Like I mean, everything I do at work, I could easily just do from truly anywhere. So it's kind of like, I think the conversation is gonna start like shifting of, okay, can we actually do everything that we're doing like remotely? And like,
Right.
I really think that this climate is going to change, like not just my work, but like a lot of people's work environments, and thinking like, what does it mean to have an office space? Like, is this necessary? Do we need to open like 5 million other offices?
Right.
Anyways,
Insane.
I may be boring your audience, but
No,
it's just, it's a weird time. It's unprecedented
It's crazy times we're in. So, yeah.
Okay. Yes. So how we're related. Sierra's mom and my dad are brother and sister. And so we have this slew of cousins, ages early 40s to you, Sierra, who's the youngest, age 25. And so it's like almost like we have these like sub pockets of like the way our cousins are grouped, and like the way it fit in was that you, Sierra, my sister Audrey, who's 27, maybe she's 27. I'm 29, and Melissa's what, 31?
Yes, just turned 31 in January, I guess. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, it's like we're all. I always just think of all of us as like, we always joke like we're all the same age.
Sure. Yeah. It was like because Tim, your dad. So Tim and Corrine, the youngest of the Leung sibs, because they were young and they're buddies, like, of course their kids would probably be a little younger, even though Melissa's older than you guys technically. So like, and then we have a big age gap. So that's how that works.
Same.
But also, it's so funny. Like we had so many girl cousins. Like we only had one boy cousin and he was the first one. So the oldest one. And then everybody else was girls.
Yeah. And I think one of us calculated it, like the actual probability of that happening is very, very low. Like the fact that every single one, like out of how many cousins we have, like 9?
Yeah, or 10.
No, 10.
10, I think. Yeah.
There's 10 of us total, so 9 of the 10 are girls.
Yeah.
Which is very odd.
Pretty funny.
And even a lot of the like our cousins who have had children now, most of them are girls as well.
Yeah, I guess so.
Ben.
The next gen.
The reason I bring this up is because we always joke that when Melissa, Sierra's sister, was a freshman at Berkeley, my sister and I visited Melissa in college, and we're like, oh, she's like a she's a college student. Like we thought we were so cool. And Audrey was literally at the young age of like 11 going to a fraternity. No, not that young. She was like 14
at the frat.
Like Audrey was in the 7th. Yeah, she was in the 7th grade, and Melissa was taking her to a fraternity.
7th grade. Yeah, that's like 12 or like 11.
Yeah, she was like 12 or like, because Audrey's young for her grade too. So we were like, dude, Audrey was in middle school, and you were taking her to these fraternity parties. It's like, we laugh about it now.
That's hilarious.
She wasn't drinking. We were being very safe, but it's just like, we die about it now. Melissa, I just think we're all the same age.
She had to be, because I was in 8th grade when Melissa was a freshman, I think. So she had to be like maybe 14 or 15. Yeah, but still ridiculous. I mean, I also think like like I watch TV shows where they do that, you know, and I think it's like so mind boggling, but also I feel like you guys were always very like social and cool. And like my cool cousins, Christy and Audrey, like they have friends, they do cool things. They're cheerleaders, you know? And so like, I always was like, you know, very, self-conscious about, oh, I don't party and I don't do all this stuff, you know?
Oh my God, no, it's so funny because I remember like little Sierra, and it's so interesting. I love like the career trajectory of you because a lot of people don't know that like when you were younger, you were very quiet.
Yes.
Such a brainiac. Like, and then something happened where there was a switch and like, it wasn't overnight by any, but it almost felt like you kind of just like, you really started owning yourself and it was so cool to see. Cause like little, really like meek, sweet, and it's funny because you're the youngest, so I always just think of you as the baby, but you're not a baby, you're grown adult. But just because you were the youngest, I just like I still kind of picture you that in my mind of like little Sierra, and you were so quiet growing up, and then it's like the path that your life took is like a complete juxtaposition between what you were growing up. I wonder, like, what do you think caused that?
Oh,
like
man.
A difference, like.
Yeah, no, I mean, you know, so many theories, but I think I definitely didn't like being quiet. Maybe because I felt like that wasn't who I was. So there was sort of this, you know, trying to bring the inside to the outside, and how can you do that forcefully, you know, to make it happen. I don't know. And I still think it's so easy to like fall into the same roles that you were like with different groups of people too. So it's like sometimes with my, you know, with some like comedian friends, I feel still like they help me be more outgoing. But then at the same time, it's hard because they're so outgoing beyond what I am, even now, that it's like, okay, then I kind of like want to assume the role of like listener or, you know, whatever you want to call it, quieter person. So it's kind of interesting, but I don't know. Yeah, it's fun talking to people who have known me my whole life and then seeing what they think, because I think there's a little bit of self-consciousness whenever you're like changing or doing something that maybe is unexpected of you. And then it's like, oh, what are those people going to think who like aren't expecting this, or, you know, that they have some sort of prior idea of yourself. So I felt like going to college obviously is like a fun, clean slate where you can kind of be who you want to be, right? That people always talk about it that way. Or if you like move to a new city or whatever, right? And so I think that's kind of like when I really felt like I could reinvent or whatever. And yeah. So, you know, but if I had gone to college parties as a 14-year-old, maybe I would have discovered it sooner. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, right. No, I now that you say that, I think that is when it started. Like you just started coming into your own and being like really comfortable. Like, and you were always like, I think I started to see it like because your wit is it's very subtle, and you're not like slapstick humor. It's very like it'll come out and you're like, that was so funny, but like you don't like the way that your delivery is just like very. It's very understated, but in the best way, and that's my favorite kind of humor, because people that are too in your face, it's like, get out, I don't really want anything to do with you. Like, you're annoying, but your humor is not like that. It's so understated and so perfect. Like the delivery, that's what makes you so unique. And what a lot of people, you know, and people, the reason I keep pointing it back to you is because your listeners aren't going to know all these things about you, and I've known you your whole life.
To the listeners.
And I wonder how much that, like, because our grandfather, so our grandfather from our parents' side, from your mom's side and my dad's side, he was hilarious.
So funny.
He was so funny. And you were so young too when he passed away. So it's like, I almost wish like he could see you and how like you were like a little mini me of him, you know? No. You're a comedian.
Yeah. And he did the cartoons and stuff. I think we like grew up knowing that, you know, humor was valued and it was a thing that isn't like, that is kind of necessary, like within family and stuff. And so, you know, I feel like we're so lucky that we had him as sort of the family patriarch or whatever, where he was like funny and like made fun of a lot of things and everything was light, and like also actually worked in funny capacity and did like creative shit too. So that was cool. But I mean,
which is cool because you do that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's like, it's a huge, I feel like whenever we talk to people in creative fields and stuff, it does feel like you kind of have to have an example to know that it's possible, you know. I mean, people figure it out down the line too, but it's such a huge thing where like people just are like, you can't make money doing that. And honestly, it's true. But I think that like it was cool that we had that example. Yeah. But But yeah, I mean, and thank you for coming and talking about all my humorous wit. But no, I think that you were super funny growing up and are still hilarious. And that sort of like was a really good, like, I don't think I've known until recently other people that are like funny like you. And so I often use you as like she kind of reminds me of Christy, like your personality. And like, yeah, actually, because I have a friend now who's like a comedian, and I was like, I wonder why. I feel like I've known her for a long time, and then realized later, it's because she's very funny, like, and like her sense of humor is kind of like Christy's, and like I haven't met someone like that in a while. It's very unique. So, I think it's manifested. Our family humor is manifested in you as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not gonna like pump her. Like me and you and Audrey are pretty damn.
yeah, like,
and
Audrey too, exactly.
I feel like
you guys are hilarious. I mean, I think, and my mom is always very much like, Christy and Audrey came in here, and like when you guys get your teeth cleaned, because obviously my mom's, sees you regularly for your cleanings. And she's like, they said this thing, and it was so funny, and like it's always some sort of sharing about what happened to you that day or something that obviously could be I think it's definitely something that I'm working on, is like telling people about what's going on, and like being not like trying to, I don't know, just trying to be more talkative, I guess, honestly, because people want to hear it. And you guys were always good at that. Sharing the fun stuff.
I think it's, wait, what's your sign? Your astrological sign?
Leo.
Which
is so strange. About this. But so
no, that's a good sign. That's
what
a good
are you?
Sign, especially in the work that you're in. A Pisces, so I'm an emotional wreck.
Oh, is that the case?
Okay, I can tell you about Leos. So Leos are, if you look at the stack of like every celebrity in Hollywood and like any famous person, more often than not, they are a Leo. And then that just shows, it's like they have a star power to them that not other signs have. And I think like the negatives that are associated with Leos, like they're very self-interested and they're very like self-absorbed. But like if you think, like, not that I don't think you are at all, but I think that a lot of like, you kind of sometimes need that in order to make it in Hollywood, right?
Yeah,
you need it.
I have heard. Okay, so because that's the one thing that I don't like about it, is it does sound, it's like, oh great, center of attention, like classic, like I feel like it's something that it's like, when you're a comedian especially, or something, that performing whatever, it's like, well, yeah, I guess so, and that's one of the things you don't want to come to terms with, is like, oh, I guess I need this attention. And I think I had one friend come on, and he talked about like trying to cross your Chinese zodiac with your like star zodiac, I guess. And I got like Shih Tzu because I'm also near the dog, and it was like horrible. It was like, you're just like a horrible person. I was like, well, great. And somehow it was just like, oh yeah, okay, wonderful, good to know. But yeah, do you find that helpful? Like, mostly, do you like read your horoscopes and stuff, or is it sort of just
I'm pretty into it.
Cool.
I think because we didn't grow up with like religion too, so it's almost as if you like, it sounds like so woo-woo in LA or SF, but it's just like you want to just find something. Sometimes when like things get hard, you just want to feel like there's something else, there's something bigger than you that exists, that like things are happening in the way, in the manner that they're supposed to. And I think astrology and just like being spiritual has helped me a lot.
Oh, cool.
And I think it also just allows you to like have a better understanding of like, okay, well, why do I feel this way? Oh, that makes, like, it just makes your feelings or whatever you're feeling feel a little bit more valid, because you can actually identify it with like, this is such a Pisces thing. Like, oh, I'm so sensitive. Well, it's because I'm a Pisces. Like, it just makes, it's like a cognitive dissonance thing where it just makes you feel like you're almost tricking yourself into thinking that things are okay because this is the way it's supposed to be, and this is the way that you were built. So I find comfort in it, and it's also just kind of fun to, I mean, who knows if any of it's real? Like, I think people could argue that you could look at every single characteristic of every sign and then identify with every single one of them as well. But I don't know, man. Like, for some reason, like Pisces, the whole like that whole thing, I resonate with it very much. And I will plug a book. It's like an astrology book it's just called The Birthday Book, I'm pretty sure.
The Birthday Book.
But not only is it just like a astrology sign book, but it actually pinpoints you from a month and day. So it's like, I'm born on March 3rd, and it has like all the characteristics of a March 3rd individual. And every time someone comes into my house, I'll have them sign it on the birthday and they'll read it and they're like, this is wild.
Oh, cool.
How, like,
That's such a
fun.
fun.
So I'll send you like a picture of yours and it's just a fun like party thing if you have friends over.
Right. Yeah. It's like a guest book.
This is crazy. Yeah, it's a guest book, and like they can sign their names, and you're like, okay, I can remember that this person was born on this day, and then if they ever piss me off, then I can look at the date, look at their birthday and see what how they are.
Oh wow, yeah.
But I don't know. So in that sense, I kind of, and there is parts of that book where it was so specific to where it was almost like, this is kind of scary, like with family and stuff. I was like, this is really scary.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there is a certain thing about when you're a baby and you're like born on the seasons coming in at a certain time, even though we don't really have the same type of seasons, but I guess there is some understanding to that, like you might have the same characteristics as somebody born on the same day as you. I mean, and I totally get, what you mean about like, because we weren't raised religious, it is feel sometimes like, okay, well, what can we cling to spiritually that's out there? And that's a big one. I mean, have you gotten into any other types of things that are kind of similar? I know people like crystals or.
Yeah, I do have crystals, but to be honest, they're more like decorative, pieces. Like I'll have sage, like the basic bitch that I am, and like try and cleanse my space.
It's a big market,
but it is. I mean, the wellness space is like $1 billion industry, I'm sure.
Yeah,
but
that's right.
And I'm such an advocate for all of it. But I honestly just like, I think like therapy is really helpful, and I think therapy is
cool.
Like
really I've never done therapy, but I just signed up. I don't know, like I went on like an app that I thought my insurance would help with, but I don't think they will because you have to have like a
Talkspace.
It was called Live Health Online. So it's also like for regular doctor appointments, physical checkups or whatever, but also for psychological checkups. So I signed up for one, but we'll see. I don't know. I kind of picked a random photo of a person, the therapist. Yeah. And they're like, I don't want to talk to a man. So it's like, here's a woman.
I do that. I'm like filtering for a woman.
Yeah. They're much harder to come by because I think they're more in demand. Yeah.
No, really. I mean, and I think that even if you don't even really know what it is specifically you'd want to talk about, if you like, they can help you. I mean, it's not even like, I think therapy is really good because they don't tell you what to do. It's more of just like, they can kind of help you unpack things that have happened to you in the past and like why that's relevant to you in the future. I think it's a helpful way to just become more self-aware, which I think is really good. Yeah. I am excited. I feel like, everyone is talking about how helpful it is, and it's sort of like, I don't know, almost a FOMO thing at this point. Yeah. You know that our cousin Natalie, she listens to your podcast, but she's a therapist too. She would make a great therapist because she's like just a really good listener, and I think she offers just really good insight. But I think it's a really good thing to want to get into. And even if, even if there's not anything specifically you're struggling with, it's more of just like, it's just a good way to just hash out things that you couldn't really hash out with like your boyfriend or Melissa or whatever. Like totally. Yeah. It's my take. Dish on all our cousins. Yeah, exactly. Or you can dish it all on me. Yeah. So you have a podcast. It's called Shade and Fog. Catch it on all the platforms. But it was so great. I listened to every single one. It was really a great podcast about dating in San Francisco, and it's available now. But anyway, how was that experience? So we recorded like, God, I don't even know, like maybe 20 or so episodes. So it went on for a couple months. We stopped it like at the end of 2019. It was a really interesting experience. I will say that out of that couple months that we did it, I actually met a lot of good girlfriends from the podcast. Cool. Like people that I met online have now become friends of mine, and I still keep in touch with them. So I think just the relationships that even though they're not like romantic, the platonic relationships that I've developed with like other females has been really incredible. Yeah, cool. And I think it was so much fun. I think a lot of people related to it because I think many of the podcasts that we hear that are famous right now, not that we were anywhere near fame, but a lot of the podcasts that are out there about dating are based out of New York or LA, but there was never anything about San Francisco specifically. So I felt like there was like a market to talk about just like what life is like in San Francisco, because I don't think that anything like that really exists. I think a lot of people in the Bay are really into tech, and like I work in tech, so I get it. But entertainment and everything like that is just like a space that really hasn't been touched.
Right.
So I think a lot of people gravitated towards the podcast. So in like we didn't have a far reach at all, but I would say the people that were listening that were strangers were into it.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Like,
it sounded like.
Yeah, they would DM me with like paragraphs of things that they had to say about in response. And like it got like pretty, I mean, it was even funny toward the point where we would get like, not to be like we're so famous, but we would get recognized.
Yeah, you said that's so funny. I can't believe it.
Which is crazy. Like one time I was at a bar and this guy comes up to me, he like taps me on the shoulder. He's like, "Are you Christy from Shade and
Oh my God.
He's like, "I recognize your voice."
That's so fun. Oh, from your voice? Wow. So it wasn't even
from my voice.
Like, that's crazy because that's really hard.
Yeah, it was super dark bar, and he just came out to me, and I was like, "I'm famous. Like this, I made it. This guy recognizes me.
Recognized from the sound of your own voice. Incredible."
Yeah, and then my co-host Emily was walking down the street in San Francisco, and this girl was like, "Oh my God, you're Emily from Shade and Fall." Like, because it was such a niche little thing that people were listening to, and we were like reposted on one of these like overheard San Francisco posts.
Oh, cool.
That everyone follows. So I think that's how people.
Yeah,
that's how we got famous in
resource.
San Francisco. Yeah, it's a good like marketing basically. So that was really fun. But I think to a point it got to be really exposing because like you're sharing the most intimate details of your life and like getting, Emily at the time started to date someone and that kind of started to get serious while we were recording. And then I was still single. So I was like, how does this podcast, how will this kind of shift, because we started this as single girls and now you're basically in a relationship and I don't want the podcast to only be about my
right.
Yeah, like you fucking ruined it. We're supposed to be single forever.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Push him away. But yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I was like, we don't like him. Get away.
Yeah.
So they've since broken up, not because of the podcast, but
okay.
It just became super exposing.
Yeah.
Like, to the point
I
where,
can't
like,
imagine.
C-suite executives were like coming up to me at work saying like, we listened to the podcast, and I'm like, a chief person at my work cannot be listening to
these
things.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's even stressful. Like I worry about even on Instagram if like somebody I'm working for like sees my stories. I'm like, okay, maybe I need to leave.
Reel it back.
Yeah, I'm just like, it even, because it's just separate from your work persona and then specifically that's dating. So it's very personal. But I respect that you were able, to do it and do it as in depth, but you were very good about like still hiding people's names who came on who talked about stuff that's like maybe more personal or was a little damning or something. Like you gave, I don't know, J or like, right, there were like initials or aliases that you gave people, which was great and it was hilarious still.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot to, I think, talk about stuff in depth. Like I always worry about talking about things too vaguely, and then when I listen back, I'm like, oh yeah, that's like so uninteresting because I literally just made everything in the second person and just said something like it's much better when you hear it from somebody about their specific experience.
Back in then it was like, where did you meet? It's like Bumble, like like you're like all ashamed, but now it's like that's just normal.
Yeah, if you don't, it's like a bigger deal.
It is
like, we just met at a bar. Like, what's that?
Yeah. What? People approach people at bars these days.
Right. But I loved like, okay, well, so there was the first episode was the first episode No Forks and Knives? That was the title?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So that was something I had never even, like my idea of dating is like probably from television. So I'm like, oh, you definitely go to a restaurant and sit across from each other. Like, I don't know. But I guess that's not a thing.
No. I mean, people that would ask me that, I'm like, I don't even want to date you because you suggested food.
Really?
Like,
that's crazy to me. So, but then
because I've got like,
what is the alternative?
No, I was going to say that I've gone on dates, one date where it was so horrific, and this is from an app, so I didn't know him prior to the date. But it was so horrific, I had to get up in the middle of the date, and thank God we didn't have food because that would have been like, I'm not about to like, skip
before
the waiter.
entree.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just like, it gives you an easy escape route if needed. But I think like sitting face to face is it almost kind of feels like an interview.
Sure. Yeah.
Like if you're sitting across from one another and eating food and asking questions like, where do you work? Where did you grow up? Do you have any siblings?
Tell me where you see yourself in 5 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Insane.
Exactly. It's like kind of like an interview, and it's like even though dating is kind of like a job, it is a job interview if you think about it.
Sure. For the most
very
important
personal job interview.
Yeah, exactly. It's time consuming, especially the ones who are you know, very ambitious. So it's like, oh, well, where am I going to fit this into my schedule? So the fact that like, if you do fit an entire meal, that's going to be tough and you can't leave. And I had even heard from friends, like they'd maybe prefer to do like a webcam, like pre-interview, you know, like do like a speed date. Like,
that's amazing.
Like if there were an app that's like, okay, you meet everybody for 10, you know, for like 5 minutes on a pre-interview, and you can like extend that if you want, but like you don't have to.
I'm screaming.
Would you do that?
Wait, does such app exist?
I don't think so. I think this was a speculation, like, oh, you know what would be a cool alternative to Tinder, you know, like a speed webcam.
Do you remember chat roulette?
Yes.
Do you remember chat roulette?
Terrifying.
They should do that. I know it's like that's like, but I remember when I went into college in 2009, it was like the hottest trend.
That's hilarious.
And I'm thinking they should do that. Oh my God, now this is all coming to me. I'm just thinking about this. They should do chat roulette, like version of Bumble, where you could like video chat and then like you could or could not have a drink in your hand. But I think like the most organic kind of things is when you get to know someone like soberly, but often it's like, it's kind of awkward.
Yeah, that's tough.
I'm not out here getting like fucked up on a first date. You know, I'm having a glass of wine just to loosen up social lubrication. But sometimes there is something to be said about getting to know someone on a webcam, just hanging out in your room, sober.
Yeah, and I mean now would be the best time, you know, to do that because you can't really go out. But yeah, it was just interesting to even know that like, oh wow, it could be that. You know, the efficiency of it is is maybe better just because you do kind of feel like a social obligation to be courteous if you're already on a date. But like if you don't get to that date, you know, another like, because people are already doing the like looking at a picture and swiping left or right. So that's one barrier. Yeah. And then the next would be talking to them for like 5 minutes or something. I don't know.
I think you're onto something, dude. I seriously think like this should be a thing.
Well, I mean, you know, it's my friend's idea, so he'll have to make that. But yeah, interesting.
He will. That's an amazing. You know what's so funny? So now that we're in quarantine, let's talk about quarantining dating. My best friend, she just moved from San Francisco to Texas.
Oh wow!
And she's probably one of the sweetest people I know. She's the nicest heart of gold. So she's kind of, and she doesn't really see like appearance, like she just wants to see people's heart, which I think is like the sweetest thing in the world. Like I think a lot of people are just shallow, and like that's what app dating is about. You see someone's picture and then you swipe left or right. It's all physical, right? She kind of gives everyone a chance, and so she's been going on many Zoom dates to the point where like she developed a relationship with a guy on Zoom. Like already they were talking every single day for a month. And like it got to the point where like she was like, I don't know if I'm physically attracted to him. Like I was like, well, you swiped on him, and like clearly he may think that you were interested in him physically. But it got to the point where she's like, I don't know if I can get there. I'm like, you need to tell him now.
Oh no, yeah. So you're deep into the
break
Zoom.
Up with him.
Oh, okay, wow, yeah.
She'd like break up with him.
So the relationship started and ended over Zoom. Complete
over Zoom.
Closed
and
Zoom relationship.
One of my other girlfriends, she lives in San Francisco. She's gone on 3 Zoom dates. Like I swear to God, Zoom dating is becoming a thing in this quarantine.
Sure.
My other girlfriend, I went on 3 Zoom dates. Actually met up with a guy, and they did a social distance walk.
Oh, right.
So they were walking.
Heard of that?
6 feet apart.
Cute.
Cute. But I mean, no real success stories that I've heard of yet. But I think this is going to become our new normal. And I think like for people that are single, that are like in their late 20s or early 30s, like me, like thankfully for me, like my desire to have children is not paramount. Like I could or could not, and I would be fine with it either way. I think for a lot of people that really, really want families, this could be a huge detriment to their timeline.
Oh yeah. Oh gosh, I didn't think about that. But yeah, totally. It's unexpected.
If you're 30, you're like, I want a child.
Right. Just throw in a little few months where you can't be searching for your mate or whatever. That's intense. But I mean, I think, you know, it is because it's like a few months in, you know, we could see people come out of this with relationships, and people always start long distance ones, even when there wasn't a pandemic, where they're like, oh yeah, I met someone online. And now when I go out there and, you know, go to New York or wherever, then they meet up with them for the first time. But it's like definitely doable, I guess.
Yeah. I will see. I think this quarantine is going to, hopefully, I think after it, maybe people are going to be more apt to like seriously date.
Sure.
Or I think it can go the complete opposite way, and people are just going to be ready to just date as many people as possible. And then you get more of like excuse my French, like fuckboy language, where like
right.
people are just dating so many people at once, and then it can be even worse than it was before. So I don't know. We'll have to see.
Yeah, that's like a crazy thing because I think people are thinking, okay, well maybe they'll be more selective because they don't want to like catch corona or whatever. But it's like, I don't know if anybody's worried about that if they're already not worried about like STDs in the past, you know? Like
it's like it's like STDs,
right.
corona.
Yeah, throw
tomato,
it all in
like,
there.
who
Yeah,
knows?
maybe they'll cancel each other out. It's not going to really make a difference. Disgusting. But yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll get some corona kids out here.
I'll keep you posted.
Yeah, cool.
I haven't done any quarantine dating, but I mean, I think it would be fun just to socially experiment with it and just see what comes out of it.
I mean, I know people are still like on the apps chatting.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah, but it's so weird. Because it's like, what do you even talk about at one point? Because like usually I like to take my dates or my messages like with like 3 messages each person talks and be like, okay, I think you're cool enough. Let's go grab a drink. Yeah, but it's like, what can you talk about for so long? That's where I'm struggling.
Sure, yeah. I mean, it's already hard enough for me to respond to texts. Like, I can't handle just like keeping a conversation going. It's very, very taxing.
It is taxing.
Yeah, that's fun though. I mean, you know, it'll be a fun grand thing to tell the grandkids or whatever people say. Well, location is not really a problem now, you know, in the sense that like you could start something up. Well, one of my friends, for instance, there's this guy who she kind of had dated before, and then they were just in separate cities for the past few years. But now they're like kind of thought of seeing each other again. But then this happened. So then they are video chatting every day. But like maybe that's how it would have been even if they were together. But it's sort of like their long distance has become more of a possibility because everybody is long distance no matter what kind of.
No, that's so true. You could be living across the street. Yeah. That's so true. It's like people I know that are talking to each other in San Francisco, they live less than a mile apart, but they're not seeing each other. So it's equally as long distance as someone if you were talking to them from New York. That's such a good point. Yeah, it's a weird time. And I also find that like my co-host Emily from Shade and Fog, she started dating someone before the quarantine. And now it's as if like they both live together. So, live alone. So it's not like they're endangering their roommates one another. So they're kind of quarantining together. But it's like, it's almost as if their relationship has like been expedited because they're spending so much time together. So you have like that side of the wing of like things people could just be like, you could kind of start dating someone right before quarantine and then it splits off because you both go back to your parents' house or you could both be still in San Francisco and seeing each other and then you come out of it in a relationship. Like it's a weird time for dating. It's weird.
Wow. Yeah.
But I love talking about it.
Yeah. I mean, do you think you would, like what about the podcast, I guess, did you feel like you, aside from, I know you said friendships and stuff, but was there something that you feel like, oh, okay, now that I did this podcast, maybe you see a gap in what people need to talk about with dating, or like, was there anything that surprised you as far as like how people handled their dating lives?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think the biggest difference I'd say like from interviewing like guys and girls, like we would have guests on the podcast or other times it would just be Emily and I, but for the times that we did have, I would say we had a ratio of like 50 male guests to 50 female guests.
Yeah, it was
pretty equal. And I think
good split.
It was. And it was like, we had guys that we've dated on the podcast or like guys that Emily or I had just like hooked up with.
Yeah.
And then we had just like girlfriends.
To confront
very bold,
of
like,
them too, you know.
Yeah, they were willing to throw it all out there, which is, I mean, kind of a detriment to them. But I think it's interesting because the way in which the guys would talk about dating and the way in which girls would talk about dating, it was different. But at the same time, it's like, if you think about it, we all wanted like the same thing. Guys and girls all wanted the same thing. They just wanted like companionship and someone to just like be their equal partner. But I think the way in which they were going about it was very differently. Like, I think the guys were just like equally wanting to find someone, but they were just more willing to kind of have multiple girls that they were talking to all at once while trying to find the same one, find the one. Whereas girls, they're more zoned in on one individual person. Sure. But it's like at the end of the day, everyone just wants companionship and like love and acceptance and all these things that you want from a partner. But like the way in which way you're going about it, it's like, well, what's his name, Chad, was talking to five girls at once, and I'm like, I don't even have capacity to talk to one person.
Sure, that's a lot to handle. You got to really keep your you're running inside jokes straight. Like, she didn't know about that.
Yeah,
that was a different girl. That is a lot.
Exactly.
I mean, you respect that. I mean, it's interesting because you think that. Well, people always say, and this is like one of those gender generalizations that's probably false, but like that men can compartmentalize easier. Is that true?
Mm-hmm.
Totally. And so,
yeah, I think so.
Maybe, that lends itself. But then women are supposed to be able to multitask better or whatever. But, it's just like that seems counterintuitive. But I guess maybe that if men are able to compartmentalize each relationship, then it doesn't feel like, oh God, what am I doing? Versus
that's
I don't
so
know
true.
if
that's
that would
a good
be.
Point.
I mean, again, generalization because it's more of like this guy was able to handle that, but who knows if the next guy can. But yeah, I mean, I remember you guys talking about like, diversify the portfolio and like really spread it out. You guys gotta, not put all your eggs in one basket kind of thing. But that's hard. I mean, it's not a thing that I think comes naturally to a lot of people, and like it can just be a personality thing, but I guess it is really helpful and fascinating with everything in life to see how other people go about it, just to know that option is there, So I think that's what was really cool about like hearing from these people directly when I don't know if I don't talk to a lot of like guys about dating. I mean, just because I probably have more girlfriends and guy friends, and then the guy friends maybe censor themselves a little bit more, if they're talking to women because than they would normally or whatever. I don't know. But it is a cool peek inside the mind of many different daters in SF, which is fun.
Yeah, it was definitely like it was a lot of fun. I think the feedback from it was like, it was just people were so invested in our lives. So it was like, it was crazy. It was weird. It was like even this micro attention that we got from just like a handful of people that were truly really invested in what we had to say and what we were doing. I can't even imagine, like, it just became so exposing to the fact that like if I care about like this many, people, what they care about, like what I'm doing with my life and how's it going with this guy I'm dating, it's like I can't even imagine having a huge scale of attention. Like with you being a comedian, it's like people do know you, It's like do you feel ever exposed like that? Like you have a lot of followers.
Oh.
Like,
no, I really
more
don't.
Than I do.
I don't think I put I mean, I do get stressed about putting stuff out there because you worry about losing your audience or, thinking like, oh God, if I put that out there, maybe that's not my brand. And then people are gonna be like, I didn't sign up for this and unfollow. And it's like, at the end of the day, it should be like, we shouldn't care what people think. Because if you're putting yourself out there, then that's the person that, this is me trying to tell myself, but that's a person that they should like. If they don't want to be a part of it, they can opt out and that's totally fine. Right. But I think there is a certain like, paralysis that comes with us being watched and, and that's also a thing now. I always talk with friends about this who aren't necessarily in entertainment, but like everybody now is a celebrity, right? Like, it's like we all have Instagrams and we can put ourselves out there in a certain tailored way that we feel is right to be out there in the open. And like, we care about who's looking at our stories and, whether they're people we actually know in real life or not. And like, it's a super weird, I mean, as much as I feel like, oh, this must be my personal problem because I'm working in comedy, so we have to do that. It's like everybody feels that way, I think, to a certain degree,
Yeah, that's so
it's super weird. But I hate the paralysis of it because I feel like I do less and put myself out there less because of it sometimes. And that should be the opposite, right? Like, it's like, oh, I got into this because I want to put myself out there. And like, this is like kind of going back to like the shyness thing and trying to be like, well, wait, I want to say something or whatever, right? But I think the way that things are going, I still get very hurt from like mean comments or like things that are so stupid, right? And it's like, so frustrating that I care at all, but like it hurts way more than like actually somebody saying something to my face almost, because they're meaner. But
no, I think that makes you human. I think just like people enduring hard, mean comments. I mean, if I see one comment, I'll be like, you have to have a thick skin to do what you do. Like, yeah, you may not be Ali Wong or freaking Jennifer Aniston or all these people that are on a huge degree of like exposure, but it's like the fact that you even have this audience, people are watching you. So of course you're going to have some kind of self-consciousness or like fear of judgment. Like that just comes with the territory. That's so normal.
Right. Yeah.
you know, like because it's hard not to just like, I even find myself trolling like my sister who she sings and she'll put some videos on YouTube.
Amazing.
And I'll just look at the comments because I'm just curious. And I'm like, if someone says something, I'm like, fuck you. Like I get pissed, you know? Not that there's many, but like it's hard to read any kind of criticism. And especially from someone who you don't know, it's almost as if it's because of the anonymity, it feels so much more real.
Sure.
Because you're like, well, if this stranger can say it, like, does that represent the whole broader population of people that think X, Y, and Z about me? Like, it's kind of scary.
Yeah, that's big.
But props on you.
Well, I think you definitely keyed in on the fact that like it is mostly about like, you know, when somebody says something to me that like I already kind of think, you know, then it's like, you're right. This is what everybody's thinking. You know, you kind of like fall into that spiral of like, they hit the nail on the head. They know I'm exposed. It's out there, you know. Thinking most recently, I think there was one where like, you know, I'll put jokes out there and then my whole thing is like, oh, okay, what if you put a joke out there and it's not funny? You know, of course, right? That's like, the thing that I think you have to build. I have to sort of build my confidence up and be like, oh, okay, I said it to Dylan. He laughed. And then maybe I'll say it to, well, now I can't say it in a show because stand-up doesn't exist. But, you know, then you put it out there on Twitter maybe. And then, okay, some people liked it, so it must be funny. And like, that's the thing where if somebody says, okay, so somebody said to one of my jokes, like, oh, I find it really amusing that you think this is comedy and you post it everywhere and then you take a screenshot and you post it everywhere. And I was just like, that's exactly what I'm scared of. You know, I think that like was really a astute way to be like, you know, a little condescending and then also be like, I guess sometimes you are worried that when you post something, whether it's like a picture or whatever, that somebody's going to be like, oh, she thinks that she's so great posting that photo or like posting that joke or whatever. And so it's just like they know how to get you, and I am just working on that. But I think that's like the one thing that I'm like, I haven't figured out how to deal with sort of the insecurity of like all those social media things and putting yourself out there knowing that like people could be thinking this or whatever. But I think it's a lot of times like at work, like I know you and I do completely different things, but it's like imposter syndrome that I feel sometimes. I'm like, they're gonna figure me out, that like I don't know everything and like I am stupid and like I'm unqualified for this job. And at one point they're gonna figure me out that like I shouldn't be in this spot, you know. And I think imposter a lot syndrome. Of people feel that. I think imposter syndrome. And then like you have the confirmation bias, like you said, like where you're already thinking, well, is this joke even funny? Should I even put it out there? Well, I got enough feedback to where I think it is funny. Let me post it. And then someone tells me it's not. Well, there you go. That's the confirmation bias that I really am not funny. It's just me. Like, totally. Yeah, no, exactly. I think it's so real. And I think it's hard enough to do it on a scale of like, for me, it's like accounting, and that's hard. And then for you, it's like, well, it's like a very personal thing to where it's like you came up with that joke. Like it's just very personal. It's hard to divorce like that from your own value and yourself. But at work, like, do you have anything where, I guess, since you've been working in that space for a while, you do legitimately have, you know, reason to be there and shouldn't feel the imposter syndrome, but then you said you still have it. Like, I don't know, have you learned anything from that or ways to get over that? Because I think that's a really common feeling. So it's so common, and I think the more I talk about it with like my peer group or like my girlfriends or friends that aren't even in my same industry, and I think the one common thing that you come across is like people that echo your exact same sentiments about their own positions, their own jobs, and you're like a VP at like a huge hedge fund, firm, and you're still saying this. Like, this is crazy that I think a lot of people just like, it's fake it till you make it, but it's hard to like, it's almost like you're the exception, right? Well, like you can feel that way, but I know it's not true. But for me, I know it's true, where I'm like stupid, you know. It's just like you're out of everyone in the world that feels this, they're not, what they feel is incorrect, but what you feel is like right. It's like being able to comfort your friends, but you can't like comfort yourself, you know. Yeah, exactly. Which that's not right. Like, I think it's just like taking a step back and being like, okay, like for you, I think what would be helpful, or like what's helpful for me is like, okay, well, someone said this to me at work and this really bothered me and now I feel stupid. And then like I have these like 3 examples that prove otherwise. Like I know like for a fact that like
like for you, it's like I told Dylan this joke and like he laughed, and then I told like whatever some other person on the street this joke and they thought it was fucking hilarious, and like it's just having like actual concrete examples to like disprove like whatever your mind is stirring up, because your mind can just tell you crazy things.
Yeah, no, but that
are untrue.
That is helpful, like having, being able to kind of go down a list or something that you have ready to go whenever you're feeling like you're being doubted, or that if you doubt yourself or whatever.
Self-doubt is real, and it's like I really commend you on, because what you do is like a very vulnerable thing. It's really vulnerable, and like having done the podcast for 2 months, like that was a really vulnerable thing, and that's why I stopped doing it. And it's like you're continuing to go at this, and like that's why a lot of people like just they don't have it. Like you have it, but a lot of people just can't handle that. It's like, it takes a very specific type of person to be able to like do what you do and like continuously put yourself out there, knowing that not everyone's going to think I'm not for everyone.
One thing that I also really admired about you is the fact that you made the decision to move to San Francisco, because I think that was like a big moment, and it took a lot of courage, and it took a lot of like, doing something that you weren't necessarily like made to do. Right. So what was that like, and what was your thought process behind that?
Yeah, it's one of those things where I lived in, like, I grew up in Orange County. I went to school in San Diego, and I felt like they were just the same. Like, La Jolla was beautiful, and I really, really enjoyed living there for 6 years. But I did live there 2 years after I graduated. And it's like, think of like when you graduated Harvard, like imagine like living in the same apartment that you lived in when you were attending Harvard. Sure. And then like having all your friends gone, and you're like one of the only people that is still left. And you're just like, why am I still kind of living in the same college life, but like college is no longer there? It just felt like too much of the same. And I was very against moving home. Like I really wanted to kind of do my own thing and be independent. And I was too scared to move far away. So I was like, SF kind of sounds good. And my best friend had just moved up there. So I was like, okay, well, at least I'll know one person. And the job I was working at, it was a Big Four public accounting firm. So it was easy to make friends, because Big Four is almost like an extension of college, because everyone leaves college going straight into public accounting. So you have all these people that are your age, and it's almost like grad school. So it's like I already had it. I felt like when I moved up there, everyone I worked with became like my friends and my family basically up there. So it was definitely an easy transition, like a lot easier than I would have hoped. And I think I'm just generally a really extroverted person. So I never really had like a difficult time making friends. It was like more of like, it was just more of like, I just need something new. Like I couldn't live in San Diego anymore. It just felt like old and stale to me. I was like, I just need a city. I need a fast paced life. I talk fast. I am fast. Like I just need like a fast lifestyle. Yeah.
I see.
So San Diego didn't really have it for me.
Yeah, perfect. But yeah, I mean, and it takes a lot to fully sort of like set your sights on some place. So it's awesome that it made sense to go there. In your mind. But I feel like from the outset, I feel like I'm very. I guess whenever I see somebody like decide on something that's not necessarily laid out for them, like you had to take the initiative to find work up there and then like, figure it out and everything. Like that's a big deal. So, but
yeah, it was the best decision I could have ever made. I think I felt like I just did a lot of like I grew up a lot in a time that but like a lot of that wasn't even, I don't even think it had to do with the city. It was more of just like growing and turning like older and being late 20s and not like 22 anymore.
I see. Then, is there, what would you say is like the biggest difference, late 20s versus early 20s?
I would, God, okay. I think the biggest difference, to be honest, is like the amount of stamina and like pizzazz that I had to like go out and be social has significantly decreased. Okay. And and I feel like in college, like I would always be like saying yes to going out to the bars, like doing all these things. And I've just realized like I'm so much of a homebody. Like I just love being at home. And I don't think I'm alone in that. I just think that as you get older, like after a certain age, you're just not into like doing that anymore. And like I definitely did have like a partying phase when I moved to San Francisco, and I couldn't even imagine doing that now, because I'm just like, I am tired. Like,
oh gosh, yeah. I mean, I already feel that.
No,
because we moved, I said, like, because we moved a little further too, it became like the barrier of going out with friends that lived like on the other side of LA, essentially. Like, it's like, I can't, I'm so sorry, but I can't take like a 36-minute $40 Uber, you know, like it's like insane. But also, I mean, even when I was closer, there was definitely some of those nights where it's like, look, it's going to be like, I'm going to get home really late and I get headaches.
And like feel like shit the next day. Like,
it's hard.
It is hard. And I think I just like, I'm happy that I spent my early 20s like being like wild and free and like
get out of your
living
system.
life with no bounds, getting out of my system. But I think at this point I'm like, man, like I have done everything I've needed to do, and like I'm okay with just like being like, I just never, I truly don't even know the last time, Sierra, I like actually went out. Like it's probably been like when it wasn't for like a specific occasion. Like I don't know the last time I went out and like, let's just go out and like get dressed up. Like that just doesn't happen for me
What does
anymore,
that mean?
which is crazy because it used to happen all the time. But now I'm just like, ugh.
I noticed with friends that I went on vacation with, for instance, like who were all single girls for the most part, like they would have so much energy. Like we would be out all day, like partying, and then they'd be like, all right, time to rally. And then we're going to go out at night. And I was like, I can't even fathom, you know, and we were like, what, 21 or something. Maybe you could meet that guy, you know, like I definitely have way more energy because that's a great motivator. But I didn't have that motivator. So I was definitely like, I don't know if I want to spend more money and hate my life on top of all that. So I lost that stamina pretty early, but then also, you know, and then occasionally I even look back at like a few years ago here and we used to do some of these things, and even some of my friends who have a lot of energy still going out, and we're like, yeah, then we're going to go here, we're going to go there. And it's like, wow, that's,
meet the guy.
Yeah, I'm like, whoa, it's a big ask. Maybe text me when you're winding down, you know? And then even then I'm like, if you want to come to me and come to where I'm sleeping, you can do that, but I can't go and move out of this bed.
That's a big ask. No, like I find myself every time, like truly, Sarah, every time I'm out, I'm planning when I can leave. I'm like, when can I leave?
Yeah, checking the exits.
Or like, when can I just dip out without? Yeah, I'm like checking the exits. Like, when can I just like bounce without anyone giving me shit?
Sure.
Because everyone knows I leave. Like, I'm leaving the party first thing. I'm the first one to leave. I am done.
Yeah, so
like
sensible.
I would rather be at home. Yeah, watching TV and having a jolly old time. Not drinking.
Yes.
I also realized I don't like drinking.
Oh, okay.
I'm not a big drinker.
Great.
Yeah, like I think when I was younger I would drink just to go out and like party, and now I'm just like I don't even really casually, even when I'm at dinner, I don't drink. Like my sister, she enjoys like wine, like she's like a big wine drinker. I don't even really appreciate like drinking that much. So that's been like a different thing, because I think I just don't really I don't really drink.
That's
often.
Great. Save money, save brain cells. I don't know.
I mean,
like I
think it really messes.
I get hangovers. I think I figured out like if I eat after I come home, or certain like strategies, it is better. But I mean, that's a huge factor. Everybody says the hangovers get worse, so it's like it's the cost of going out is like hours way more than it used to be. Obviously, like thinking about when I was like a sophomore in college, I could drink literally not drink water or anything, and then wake up the next day like, okay, breakfast, like it's
Isn't
insane.
Crazy? Isn't that crazy?
Terrible.
Like when it's actually like a thing. It's like I used to think it was a joke. I'm like, because I was the same in college. It was always a thing. Like Christy didn't get hangovers, and now I like cannot even fathom like waking up. Like I think it's just when I wake up after drinking, especially now, my face feels really puffy.
Sure.
And like I just feel inflated.
I get that.
Like
it goes all to my face.
I get like
I can't see. I'm just like, what happened?
Like I'm splotching around. Like I am disgusting. Like, I'm oily. Like I just can't. I can't deal with it. So I generally just choose to just abstain.
Yeah, good. No, and I have some friends who have made that decision, and I think it's like for me, I definitely like to drink when, especially for like social gatherings, because it does help with the whole like social anxiety thing. So I don't think I could go without it. It would be hard.
Absolutely not.
But then I would say, I think I mean, I don't know, I'm speaking for you, but I feel like if I were more extroverted or had a little bit more familiarity with the people, then maybe it wouldn't be an issue, but so I respect that a lot.
Social lubrication. Yeah. Like at work, happy hours. I'm not going there sober.
Sure.
Like
that's a nightmare.
It is.
Wow. Yeah, that would be fun. I've taken part in some of the like Zoom happy hours with some friends. And
and then I'm like, when can I leave?
Right.
Like,
yeah.
I have nowhere else to go.
I mean, it's really hard to exit on those things for sure. One of my one that got set up actually was very well done, because they're like, all right, and it's 40 minutes, so goodbye, everyone. And I was kind of like caught off guard. I was like, I wasn't expecting this. I was expecting more connection, but okay. Wait. It was really abrupt, but I mean, I get it. It's good to lay down a plan.
All right, everyone. There's like a proctor at the Zoom meeting.
Kind of.
All right, kids, you're at the 35.
All right, everyone, just, I know I've been silent the entire time, but I'm just here to tell you guys it's 40 minutes, so you can all leave now without any repercussions. Thank you.
Wait, I'm dying that you're like, it was very abrupt. Wait, so who was like,
I was caught off guard.
Was it your friend?
Yeah, it was our friend. It was like a kind of a previous coworkers, like, more of a formaler situation. It was great. I mean, I really like, I think that's the way to go, honestly. I was just like used to doing like 2 hours of talking. So
they need a proctor every single
I know.
Because I never know how to leave. I'm like,
it's hard.
Okay, guys, well, I'm tired. I'm going to watch Gossip Girl. I'll talk to you guys later.
Oh my God. Yeah, Gossip Girl's a good one. Yeah.
We're at the 40-minute mark.
Yeah, you got to do that timer.
Wow.
Set your timer.
I actually do have a Zoom later. Like, I'm definitely going to utilize
that.
But, okay, guys, we're at the 50-minute mark. 10 more minutes till we wrap it up.
Yeah. Please.
Wrap it up.
We shall. Everybody, gather your things. We gotta go. Gotta make dinner.
Pencils down. Wine glasses down.
Yeah.
Oh, that's too good.
Wine glasses down. Oh boy, it's hard for me to like reply to emails and texts. It's just hard.
You're terrible at texting.
I know, it's just really hard. So what I end up, and like now, like I had, it's really difficult because I think now it's like I have no excuse. And then now I'm kind of like, oh God, now it's too long gone. I don't know what to say now because I didn't have an excuse, It's not like, oh, so sorry, I was busy. It's like, I was, but you probably won't believe me because, we're in this situation.
Yeah, but you're like actually working, like, I feel like you don't have like a 9 to 5. Like your hours are probably just like, there is no stopping.
I mean, that's true, but yeah, I mean, it and that becomes a problem because then it's like, well, you can put it off indefinitely too, right? So I feel like, even in that aspect, it's hard to like cut things off or like get back to people in a timely manner because there are no rules. Anyway, but yeah, so.
No rules.
So yeah, I don't know. I guess like we can, I mean, speaking of, we can kind of, we're inching towards the hour mark, give or take. Any other tips on, normally positivity is what I say, but it could be anything.
Oh, yes. Okay, so yeah, I do know that you do this at the end of your pods, and I wish I would have given it more thought, but the first thing that came to my mind in light of what we were talking about is just like therapy. Everyone should be in therapy.
Uh-huh.
Even if you don't think that you need it, you probably fucking do. You just don't realize it yet. So not you, just in general, whoever's listening, whoever even cares what I have, whoever even cares about what I have to say, I think that therapy is great, and there's a lot of options. There's a lot of in-network therapists. I think psychologytoday.com is a great resource. Mm-hmm. I always refer to my friends to that. You can just enter your zip code and find, therapists in your area, and you can filter like, oh, I'm on Anthem Blue Cross. Do they take my insurance? So I think that's a super good resource.
Cool.
Because I think that's the way I stay positive.
Sweet. Yeah. So important.
In all the light of this crazy quarantine.
Yeah. I mean, I think what was good about the quarantine is that it made me sign up for that, because I think in the past I was sort of worried about, scheduling an appointment and you got to drive in and things like that. But then the teletherapy thing, I was like, well, I don't know if that's getting your money's worth. But then now that we have no option, I'm like, great, bring it to me, because then the only option is to do it in the comfort of your own home. So it sounds great. I will report back once I do it, but it's, I had to wait for the woman, so it's long in the future. the female therapist who's available.
For the woman, not the man.
I can't do the man. Sorry. He looks kind,
no,
but
I
don't know. I don't know what to say,
I'm sexist when it comes to my
therapist. I guess
so.
Sorry, personal preference. But yeah, love it.
Yep.
That's great. And yeah, I guess also anything you want to plug, obviously Shade and Fog still available on the airwaves.
Yeah, you can listen to any of our podcasts if you're interested. It's just at Shade and Fog. I don't think there's an SF at the end of our handle, but yeah, check out at Shade and Fog. That's probably all I got. I'm no influencer, but
we all are.
Listen to Shade and Fog, and if you have feedback, I still have the account, so just DM us if you have any specific questions you want to ask us, because the account is still well and active. We just don't really post on it anymore, but we still check it.
Do you guys think you'd ever do a comeback segment, maybe a season 2?
Nah, probably not. We did an IG live and 14 people showed up.
Yeah,
so that was exciting.
That's awesome.
But God, that's so pathetic. 14 people.
No, that's a lot to people simultaneously, right? Because it's
welcome to my channel.
That's because I've seen a lot of comedians do IG live, and there's 4 people. That's fine. That's plenty.
Yeah, I mean, if someone wants to listen, I'll talk to whoever wants to listen to me. So, just DM me there if you have any questions, or you have an eligible bachelor in San Francisco that you want to set me up with.
Nice. Yeah, that's important.
Cheers to that.
COVID free. It sounds great.
COVID free, STD free.
STD free too. Yeah. Yeah. Great. Well, thank you so much, Christy.
Thank you, Sarah,
for
doing
having
the podcast.
Me. I'm glad we finally got to do it, because I know we want to do it in person at some point, but this works perfectly fine, and we got it done.
This is good.
Yeah.
This is good. I'm very excited to hear it, and I'm glad we got to catch up. This was fun.
Yay. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Bye.
Bye, Sierra's Millionaires.
Hey everyone, hope you guys enjoyed that episode with Christy, my cousin, and definitely be sure to check out her podcast, Shade and Fog. I swear to God, that is a hilarious podcast, much funnier than this one. She's the cousin with the better podcast, so definitely check that out. Other than that, hope you guys just have another great day, another great week. I'll have another episode soon, and just a reminder that the awesome theme song that I'm about to go out on is by AJ Raphael. Thank you!